Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me. We are live. It is Friday, TGIF. Can you believe it? Thank God it's Friday. It's been a long one. As you notice, I'm not here with Fabiola, my beautiful wife. She is sick, so she's in bed. I'm going to try to make this a little bit shorter than normal so I can kind of attend to her, and if she needs anything, I can get it for her. So, not feeling good. She really wanted to be here. Matter of fact, she's the one that sent out some of the notifications that said that we were going live on Instagram and all the rest of the places. So anyways, welcome. Thank you for hanging out tonight. We're going to be, as always, just discussing some of the stuff that we talked about over the week. This week has been a really big week. There's a lot of things that have been going on. Obviously, we had that outage that happened last Friday, the same time as we're live tonight. I think it was like 8:15, where basically the world went out and there was like no Starlink for 1 million people or however many. It was a lot. Some people said that they didn't go out, but I don't know. They probably did. They didn't even notice it. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about some of those videos. One, that outage that happened, what happened after it. Some of you guys reported back and said, yes, we did go out. And then when we came back online, we ended up having a problem because our heater was turned on and we're in a not so cold climate, right? And we don't need the heater on if we're going to burn something out, burn out either the wire or burn out the modem that's inside the dish, or as I call him, Mr. Bevel. Not good. And then we also did something about self-sufficient living, let's say, off-grid type of thing. And I showed you guys this amazing camper-looking thing. It was a trailer. It was like about $500,000, but it was cool to see what we can do today to actually truly get off-grid. Everything was accounted for. It was pulling water out of the air, which was just amazing to me. You had full internet, of course, because you had Starlink on it. It was just a 100%, I guess, self-sufficient unit, which to me was amazing, right? Because it shows that you can do it. Now, the question that a lot of you guys had was, what do you do with the gray and the black water? And I had the same damn question. I really don't know. I mean, I guess you still have to go plug in somewhere to get rid of the waste, or, you know, who knows. Anyway, so that was another one. And then I did a video that talked about black and white photography. That's an affinity to me. I just absolutely love black and white photography. Matter of fact, this was my first camera, guys. I usually never pull that out, but you guys are live. You can see it. Take a look at that. Look at that. Solid metal, all manual controls. It's a Minolta SRT 102. I love this thing, right? So this is where I cut my teeth, developing film. So I love black and white photography, and Pentax came out with a camera that is just a monochrome sensor, which is also cool. Talk to you guys a little bit about that tonight. And then also just today or yesterday, a couple days ago, we did a video also about what is going on with this outage and why did it happen. I thought it was very fascinating how this all went, kind of came to pass, right? We speculated at the time last Friday what happened, and it wasn't good. Right? It wasn't good. It ended up being a certificate problem, and it wasn't renewed in time. And if your certificate goes down, everything goes down. If you guys are system administrators, or if you have a website, you know that, for example, if you have an SSL certificate, so your website is HTTPS, meaning that it's secure in comparison to HTTP. If you turn off HTTP and only let your site be secure, well, if your cert goes bad, or let's say is out of date, guess what? Same thing happened to me in the past. The whole site goes down. You're like, where did the site go? Well, your cert is no longer valid. So this is the kind of thing that we were talking about also. So I don't have anyone else to help me with these, all these comments and whatnot. So do me a favor, put a Q before any questions that you have so they kind of pop up and I can see them better in the chat. And as they start rolling in, as we are on for a little while, it's going to be a little bit harder for me to kind of discern what is just chatter between you guys, which I want to happen as much as possible, because once again, as I always say, this is a community channel. It's not about me, some guy with a big head sitting here. No, it's about the community and that conversation that you guys have between each other. So anyways, I want to just ask you guys, not just to put that cue before the questions, but I told you in the last live that I was testing something. And it's a means to bond multiple layers or multiple internet providers into one. And that is what I'm doing right now. So what I want you to do is, please, if for some reason there is some type of spooling that happens and you lose signal, now it could be an anomaly just to you, but it could be actually me not sending to you, and I want to know about it. So do me a favor, in the chat, just put a time stamp, let's say, when it happened, and that you were, experiencing an outage for 1 second, for 5 seconds, for 2 seconds, whatever it is. I'm testing this, and so far it has been amazing, and that's why I haven't told you guys about it as of yet. I'm going to tell you all about it next week. I've been testing it for about 3 weeks now, so I can't wait to get this out to you guys because it is just working so well. And I have worked with different routers. Matter of fact, let me see. Maybe you guys have seen this one before. This is one of them. I have a few of them. This is a Peplink 20X. This one, let me see. That's a new one. Anyways, this is what they look like, right? So with these things, you can actually combine multiple ISPs into one and do it hardware, on the hardware side, which is good if you are government or if you need some type of hardware-based. But what I'm working on right now is a software-based solution that is just working amazingly. So once again, I'll tell you about that in the chat. Let me know if we go down. Right now, I have stats going on and everything is looking smooth like butter, which I like to see. What I will probably do also is, let me switch over for a minute like this. This way you guys can see your feed, number one, but you'll also be able to see on the screen the ping. Which is important. What is the ping at? Do we have it down? If we're down, you're going to see the ping just go to either extremely high or it'll just be gone. So I'll leave that on for just a few minutes just to see if anything changes on that. Right now we're getting about 40 to 50 milliseconds. Every once in a while, 37 milliseconds, 45 milliseconds. Not bad. So far, so good. I like to see that. So we'll see what ends up happening with this. So let me go ahead and jump into the chat a little bit. Daryl, how you doing? John, thank you for being here. Tom, hello from Grand Canyon, Pennsylvania. How are you doing? APG show. That's Jeff from Georgia. Howdy. Who else we have? Salty Vet. How are you doing, Chaplain? What's going on? Chris, Starship granted FAA launch. Yes, over out of Boca Chica, Monday, AM, first attempt. Yes. So, Chris, this is big news, and anyone that's interested in SpaceX Starlink will find this to be extremely big news because the FAA said, yeah, you know what, Elon? Launch your big bad rocket. We're okay with it. So like Chris said here, it should be Monday, which would be the first attempt. You never know what's going to happen with weather, with any other problems, but the FAA and the EPA and the environmental lobbyists and everyone has finally, I guess, got paid, or something has happened because it looks like Elon has a green flag going forward. This is really big because this will now mean, not for this first attempt, just so you guys know, when Starship goes off, it's going to be a test. It's made in flight. It's a test. That's it. Around the world, come back down. It lands perfectly, doesn't blow up. We're good. All right. But as more and more of these tests go up, who knows how many they're going to do before they start launching their expensive version 2 satellites into orbit. We don't know. I believe it only fits about 11 on the Falcon 9. So I don't know how many they're going to be able to stuff into this Starship, but supposedly it's going to be a lot. Who knows? Maybe they can get 100 in there. I don't know. But that's going to be a game changer for everyone that's using SpaceX Starlink, because then not only are we going to be using the version 1.5 satellites, which do have that inner laser link, let's say, so they can communicate through lasers between each other, but just like the version 2.0 minis, now the 2.0s, which are, let's call them maxis. I don't even call them a damn maxi, but it's the big ass one, version 2.0, that ends up going to be able to, I think it's like 4x the amount of connectivity, let's say. So the amount of capacity, that is a massive increase. So what that means is once you get a whole bunch of 2.0s out there, instead of being able to handle 1 million people, you'll be able to handle 4 million people. Maybe. doing the math. So I don't know. Anyways, let's get back into here. So that's awesome. Thanks a lot for that, Chris. Any other information you guys have, tidbits, whatever, let me know. Someone wrote into me. Matter of fact, let me see who this was because this was very important. Yes, Ryan B. wrote in and said that the SpaceX Starlink map, their map has changed just recently, like as of today. And I want to pull that up. You know what? Before I go any further, let's pull this up because supposedly what he said is this is a big deal. So if you guys go over to starlink.com, let me bring up my screen here. There we go. Starlink.com, you can see this map. Now, yes, Ryan was right. Check this out, guys. Do you remember how there was a line that cut straight through here, through Wisconsin, Iowa, come down here through Montana, Oklahoma, blah, blah, blah. All this was all dark. Now, if you don't know, the dark area is the waiting list, and the light area means that there's availability there. Now, before, the entire state of Florida used to be dark. Now look at it. The entire half, the whole southern half of Florida now is all wide open, guys, wide open. And now look at all of these open areas throughout this dark area. Remember, like I said, this was all painted dark before. So there is a lot that has happened. This is really, really good news. And I'm going to speculate that this whole area that you see here that is dark will go away once we see some version 2 dash, let's call them minis, some version 2 minis or version 2s end up in LEO, in outer space, working. So that is a really big deal, guys. That is a very big deal. Thank you so much, Ryan, for that. That is good information. What else here? Hop says, love-hate Starlink. Yes, a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with Starlink. When I started, it was beta, and I was getting like 310 megabits down and about 35 to 45 megabits up. And then as it slowly got worse, when I was paying $99 and then 110, and now they're said that they were going to go to 120. I'm still at 110. I don't know. They didn't raise my rate. I'm okay with that. But anyways, it slowly decreased down to a point where I was getting about 100 or even less down and about 5 to 8 megabits up. Now things seem to be opening up and we're getting anywhere from about 130 to about 230 down. Every once in a while, a spike to like 260 down, and the upload speed now is almost always at 10 or above, sometimes 15. I've seen as high as 20, 21. So it is definitely getting better as of late. Thank God. Let's see, memorable places. Let's see, Christina can jinx Starlink again in 29 minutes. Yes, let's hope not, okay? Hope not. We don't want to do that. I want this thing to keep on going. But you know what? Like I said, I have redundancy. We had, like I said last time, we have this now. What do you think? There you go. So let me see, does it focus? It does. So we have this. What is that? That is, yes, a T-Mobile gateway that is connected, once again, through this program, through the software, through this thing that I'm going to tell you about next week that will allow this bonding of Starlink as well as T-Mobile. So if Starlink went down right now, we'll still be up, supposedly. So I should just run over there, just yank the plug. But a lot of people do that test routers and whatnot. I've done it myself. But honestly, that's not a test of routers. That's not a test of something going down. That is an easy test for it to understand, yeah, 1 and 0, binary. Is it on? Is it off? But that's not really what happens. What happens is there's usually a degradation in the connection where the connection just goes from here to all the way into just the garbage, right? So that's what it needs to be able to pick up on. And if you don't have a unit that can pick up on that, it's just not going to work. Anyways, that's for next week. I'll tell you more about that. Daryl says, sitting in Georgia National Fairgrounds in Georgia in an RV, getting 80 megabits down and 11 megabits up. Daryl, that's awesome. You're in an RV hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate that. That is so cool. We have Mark. What is that? Philippines. Nice. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Last time we had people from all over the place. We had people from Africa, South Africa, there was so many people on last week. It was nuts, but there was a lot of people that were offline too that were extremely upset about it. So welcome, Mark from Philippines. We have the Dub Pod. He says, I took photography in high school in 1983. Love the darkroom. Me too. I love Fixer. I love the chemicals. I love my hands just deep in chemicals. I love the smell, even though it smells kind of bad. Like I said, I cut my teeth in. I just love to be able to develop my own film and then later on do the enlargements also. All of my work that I've done, that I've showed in galleries and I've sold over the years, have always been black and whites, and they're all chemically printed, and they're all 40 inches by 60 inches. That's just what I do. That's who I am, and that's what I show whenever I do an exhibit of any kind. So anyways, that's for another time. So anyways, I do enjoy it. Let me see. John says, where we leave off? Where we leave off? Here we go. So John says black and white photos can be get more toned. Yes, absolutely. So for me, John, I like black and white photos. People have asked me why. I've always taught, whenever I've taught photography, that black and white is the bones or the structure or the skeletal structure of any image. It doesn't matter if it's color or black and white. So if you take a color image, convert it to black and white, and look at the darks and the lights, the negative space and the positive space, you'll get an idea of, does the image actually work? Or is it being just brought up or held up by its bootstraps just by color? Because they're like, oh, it's beautiful. But is it actually put together well, right? Rule of thirds, all the rest of the stuff, yada, yada. You convert it to black and white, you take a look at those negatives and positives, and you'll figure it out really super quick. I've always done that. So let's see. Chaplain says, prayers for us all. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's just make sure everything stays up and running. So far, so good. I don't see any outages so far. We're good. Once again, let me know if you see any. Salty says APG show Starlink in Game Changer full RVers. Yes, full time. Love it. Salty Vet says full-time RVer. We've been getting a lot of RV folks on the channel, and I love that because I told you last time, I want to kind of expand a little bit and start doing not only the photo and the video and the tech stuff, but moving from the tech, the general tech, into like the satellite stuff, but also like the any kind of the wireless things, like external antennas, using other means of getting communication in. It doesn't matter if it could be Verizon Home, or it could be the T-Mobile, or it could be one of these antennas. I don't know if you guys have seen this the last time. Maybe we can see that. You see that? So this right here is an antenna. It's a 4G antenna you can put outside of your home or your office and then stick a SIM card in it and be able to get internet, right? Get connection through whoever, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, whoever, which is also an alternative for a lot of people that do not have really good connections, either in an RV, or maybe you're in a rural environment, you're in the country, or even in the suburbs where you don't have a, let's say, a antenna, a cell tower near you. If you use one of these, you can direct it directly at the cell, and now you will get really strong signal where normally you wouldn't. So I want to get into some of that. Also batteries, as well as solar, this type of thing, because I really enjoy it. And I like the whole idea of homesteading. I like the idea of being able to live off grid. I like the idea of being able to work from home. There's so many people today that are working from home that are using SpaceX Starlink, because it just simply works. And if you don't have fiber at your home, or if you're sitting on a houseboat out somewhere, or you're in the middle of the ocean, or you're wherever on the top of a mountain, well, now you have internet. And most of us today that are working either at home or working in some type of technology field, that's all you need. You just need that really good, solid, reliable, high-speed internet access. And when I quote reliable, that's one of the reasons why I'm starting to do this redundancy, where we're taking multiple feeds, combining them together, bonding them together, and now Not only can you get faster speeds, but more importantly, you'll get redundancy so you don't go out. Let's say during a Google meeting. We just had a big Google meeting this morning and it worked out great. We didn't have any outage and everything was fantastic. So it's very important to be able to have that redundancy. So, well, like I said, I'll talk about that more next week. Let's see what else we have here. Let me get into this, because if I don't get into this chat, I know it's going to get to be crazy and then I'm not going to be able to catch up. That happened last week. Tom says, off-grid camp on Viasat, and it's buffering so bad that I'm going to leave. Sorry. Tom, I'm sorry. Viasat is, Viasat, if you guys don't know, there's two major players, Viasat and HughesNet, that have done all of this satellite stuff before SpaceX Starlink came into the picture. And the problem with that is they are geolocated. Their satellites are sitting in geo, let's say wrapping around in one central spot. They don't move, right? But they're at thousands and thousands of kilometers away from Earth. So you have a very high latency, number one. You don't have a lot of them because instead of being low, and you need a lot of them because you have a small area that it's pointing at on the Earth. Just think about it. Whereas if you come from back here and point that same cone, you're hitting a much larger area of Earth. So you need a lot less of them. The problem is the speeds are slow, the latency is high, the price is high, and you're paying a lot for overages, and they give you like 100 gigabytes. I talked about this in the previous video, 100 gigabytes. The most, I think, was like 300 gigabytes. It's not enough for use if you have 4K TV and you're trying to work from home and all of this stuff. I predicted that Viasat and HughesNet are going to go out of business, or they're going to have to combine. And I just saw that Viasat just did something. They launched a new satellite. I think Elon launched it for them, I think. Anyways, they're trying new things because they know, matter of fact, I think it's a gigabit satellite. They know that their days are numbered, all right? Starlink, once he hits, 10,000, 20,000 satellites, it's kind of game over. I mean, these things are not going to work. It is a data game today. And the same thing holds true with the cell phone companies. Cell phone is not a cell phone anymore. It is a computer that has some type of data connection. You don't need text because you can use data. You don't need to make an actual proper phone call because you can use data. Everything is data now. And you know what? AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, all the rest of them know that they're data companies. And with Starlink, where they are, if Elon ends up going with like a Pi phone or a Tesla phone or whatever he calls it, and you can actually use this damn thing outside or even inside, more importantly, I mean, I wouldn't say game over for them, but it is going to be a major, major blow. And all of these companies have been raping us for so many years. HughesNet, Viasat, raping all of their customers because they were the only game in the, and out there, AT&T. I mean, all of these people, they literally combine. They're like, hey, yeah, we're going up $5. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go up $7. All right, cool. They're all in cahoots with each other. Just look at the price that you pay and compare it to all the rest of them. It's like the same damn thing. So anyways, that's enough of me ranting. Let's see. We have John. He said, question, did it get rain? Did I get rain? Yeah, there was a lot of rain, actually. Down here in South Florida, it was like torrential rain, really bad earlier. Supposedly there is going to be more rain tonight. I don't know, but we'll see. Hopefully it does rain. I want to see if the damn connection goes out. I shouldn't say that because it probably will. Anyways, I want to say real quick, Bill Franz, thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you. It's truly appreciated. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for that super chat. We have the Dub Pod says, where did you buy the lights behind you? Oh, the Pac-Man. That Pac-Man was given to me during the holidays. I'm not sure where they got it. It was probably like in a small store someplace in one of those, maybe it was at Fives or something, one of those places. I thought it was cute. I always loved Pac-Man. Me and my son ended up building an arcade machine, used a Pi, right? It's called Retro Pi is what we're using over there. It's a Raspberry Pi that we built it on, and it has like 15,000 retro games on it. I've been saying that I was going to show you guys that thing for so long. I haven't done it. I suck. I'm sorry. But I got to show it to you. It's so much fun. And maybe I'll do a whole video just on that if anyone's interested in that type of thing. I love it. I'm a geek anyways, I've always been a nerd. So let's see. Laura says, question. Let's see. I'm enjoying the Starlink videos. I'm learning. I live in the middle of the woods and seriously need security cameras up. I do have Starlink. So you could do security cameras as long as they're on your local network. The thing is if you're doing security cameras with Starlink and you want to view those cameras externally, right? In other words, you went away for a weekend and you want to see those cameras while you're gone. You can't really do it unless you get a static IP address. Now, in the past, I've spoken with PureVPN. I've talked to you guys about PureVPN. Matter of fact, there's probably going to be a link somewhere, maybe in the show notes down below in the description. Anyways, for like $1 or $2 a month, they will give you a static IP address. And that static IP address is what you can use if you need to put those cameras online and be able to view them from external or from the internet instead of your intranet. Okay? Intra, you're not going to have a problem. It doesn't make any much of a difference. So let's see. Richard, how are you doing, Richard? I see Fabiola. What are you doing, right? My wife is here in the chat. She's supposed to be sleeping. She's sick. You're supposed to be sitting right here, Fab, but you're not. So go to sleep. Yeah, she's pretty sick. She came back from work and she really doesn't feel good. So hope she gets better soon. Get some soup and relax and watch some TV. What do we got here? Jose Perez says, hi, everyone. Grocery shopping while watching. Nice, Jose. Appreciate that. Grocery shopping, hanging out, watching me. Why are you watching me? Let's see. It says, I switched to Gen 2 Sat. Worst service ever. It's always like that. For me, Starlink was a revolution for me. We've always had absolutely just, pardon my French, shit service with AT&T. We had AT&T UVerse. Well, we had AT&T, it's DSL, okay? And then they moved from DSL to UVerse. The problem is if you don't know the technical stuff, I am an system administrator, the back end, DSL is a powered signal, meaning it can push the signal further. So your SNR, your signal to noise ratio, remains in check. UVerse is not a powered transmission, so it doesn't go as far. And as soon as you push it like 6,000 feet, 5,000 feet, guess what? It degrades. And the SNR goes off the chart, and the thing doesn't want to connect, and it's just crap. So anyways, that's all that I had for a long time. Once we got, Starlink, it was just so it was a revolution. And matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why I talk to you guys about it all the time, because I'm so passionate about it, because it's opened up stuff. People like myself and maybe some of you guys, we're always on the wrong side of the digital divide, right? I talk to you guys about the digital divide all the time. You have the haves and the have-nots. You have the haves of high-speed internet access, and you have the have-nots that don't have it. And the problem is all of these companies like AT&T and Verizon and all of your like Ma Bell and Bell Atlantic, all the rest of you, they've gotten so much subsidy from the government promising that they're going to put fiber to the home everywhere. They haven't done it, guys. Now you look overseas in Europe, there's fiber everywhere. You look in the US and there's fiber in clusters where there's like a ton of people, they put fiber because it's expensive. Even though they've gotten all these subsidies, they stick it in their fat ass pockets and they don't give it back to us by providing service. It's not like we're not going to pay for it. Of course we're going to pay for it, but they don't run the lines. Matter of fact, I wanted to get Comcast, Xfinity or whatever, Comcast, which is fat copper or cable, right? I wanted to get it here. Do you know how much they wanted? For me to get Comcast here, at my location, to run it down the street, they wanted $52,800. No, not $5,200. $52,800. Are you kidding me? So, like I said, when Starlink came out, it was definitely a revolution. Roy says, hit the thumbs up. I would appreciate that. Everyone that's here, throw a thumbs up. That would be great. Maybe we'll get more people on. That would be fantastic. Let's see, who we got? Walter, how are you doing? Hello, Walter. Wayne says, I have Starlink home for over a year. How can I take with me on the road in RV without changing plans or equipment? Any thoughts? Hello from Kentucky. The problem, Wayne, is you cannot take your home service with you on the road unless you have portability. Portability used to be $25 a month. Well, they decided to get rid of it. Now, if you have portability, anyone that does have portability, they are grandfathered into it, so they keep it. If you don't have it, you can't get it, but if you have it, don't lose it. Do not change your plan. Trust me on this. Write it down. Joe said, do not change your plan if you have portability. It's only $25 a month, and you can pick up your unit and move it any place that you want in the continental US, let's say, and use it. Now, your speeds will go down to best effort, which is about half the speed instead of your residential speed, which is priority, which is your higher speed. But who cares? As soon as you bring the unit back to your home, it knows, well, we're back in the right geolocation. Boom, you get high speed again. All right? So, sorry, Wayne, you can't have it. Hopefully, they open that up and you can soon. I don't know. Chaplain says, awesome. I rely on Viasat as a backup. Have to manually change internet providers. Yes. Once you have this product that I'm talking to you about, you won't have to manually change. You can actually have Viasat hooked up and another hooked up. And then you can say, which is really cool, you can say, I want to use this one as primary, this one as secondary. And if it switches to secondary, which is, let's say, your Viasat that you have to pay more money for, let's say, you can say, all right, I only want it to go this fast, or I want it to only be on for this amount of time, or I only want to use this amount of data per day, whatever. Really cool. Once again, I'll tell you more about that next week. Chris says, good evening. Good evening, Chris. Who else do we have here? Let's see. There's a lot of you guys tonight. I love it. ProCopy says, hi from Australia. How are you doing? Larry says, Grand Canyon State, Arizona. How are you doing, Larry? Walter is from Chaplin, Florida. Phil, how are you doing, Phil? Jet Photo, hello. How are you doing? Been a while. Glad that you're here, Jet Photo. Ian says, quick question for you. What do you use for load balancer? Right now, we're using a UTT router. Down below, you'll find a link in the description. That is by far the best hardware router that I've used, for the price. Okay, the caveat. For the price. Yes, you can go with this, what is this? This Peplink 20X for $500 and modules for $250, and there's a whole bunch that goes into it. It's awesome, but for the price, the UTT, there's a link down below, under $100. Awesome. Phil says, Australia is off 2 days ago. Yes, we're off. Starlink's removed portability. Yes. Do not change your plan. Do not change your plan. They will remove that portability. Don't lose it. Easy TV says, also did make it Spectrum fiber got cut somewhere. Yes. Someone I was talking to, I think it was Arnie. Is Arnie on tonight? I don't know. If you're there, hello, Arnie. He got fiber. Very, very happy for him. And then what happened was his fiber died during the week. And they're like, yeah, we'll put it back on in a day or two or whatever. He immediately called immediately put in a request to Starlink to turn his service back on. Someone wrote back to him the same day, like I think he said 4 hours, I don't know, a short period of time, and said, you know what? Your service is back on. Just like that. Now he's back and he's able to use Starlink. So now he has both Starlink as well as fiber. So a lot of people say fiber is like, the cat's meow, which it is. We all should want fiber, but you got to understand fiber goes down too. So to have multiple connections for redundancy is very important if you do this as a profession. Doesn't matter what you're doing, maybe Google Meeting or you're just working out of the home or whatever it is. It's nice to have that redundancy. So let's see, Dove says, yeah, now available in South Carolina. Unbroken, someone stole 2 million dimes from a U.S. Mint truck in Philly Walmart parking lot. Nice, that's always great. What the hell are you doing with 2 million dimes? God, that is crazy. Gary says, are you cold? Yes, in the studio, I have the AC going, and right above me, I have a split. And this split kind of does this thing and blows on me. It cools the computers and everything, but it cools me too, and I end up freezing. And I'm in Florida, but you have to keep the AC on in Florida, because if not, the humidity just gets in and it gets nasty. So we keep it on. Phil says, Phil camping and touring. He says, surprised that need to remove portability in Australian residential plan. Yes, changes a thing. That is, yes. Just they're removing actually the portability everywhere. So if you have it, like I said, your grandfathered in, keep it. Let's see. Twiddler says, I love Starlink and have issues, but I have issues with Elon's pie hole. I think pie holes everyone has, kind of like other holes. So yes, you're going to get people that just maybe rub you the wrong way, but sometimes you have to look past what people say and actually what they do. And if what they do is actually beneficial to you and the mass, I'm okay with it. You know, I just kind of get by it and I'm like, okay, it kind of is what it is. Personally, I don't have a problem with his pie hole because I actually really like Elon, but that's just me. I'm not a fanboy in any means. I am a fan, but not being a fanboy means that I'll call it as I see it, right? That's just how I've always been, right? I'll tell you how it is. Doesn't really make a difference to me. Let's see. Question here. Memorable places says, so now that Starlink's map shows available in my area locally, many people should be on a rolling back in the monthly cost. So monthly cost, I don't know what they're doing with the monthly cost. I looked at my monthly cost. It's still at 110. Some of you guys have told me that you're at 120. If you have Starlink, tonight, down below, put the amount that you're paying because everyone wants to know, how much are you paying and where are you locating? Put Florida, 110. Put South Carolina, 120. Put Montana, 99 bucks, whatever it is, or $90. Some people are actually paying $90 right now. I don't know. Put it down below. I think everyone wants to know. That's a really good point. Let's see. We have Phil says, does it only work with Peplink routers? No, absolutely not. This will work with everything. Matter of fact, the solution that I'm going to be telling you guys next week, you're not going to need an extra router. It's cool. Question from Richard. He says, any news on the data cap or the throttling in the near future? Wonderfully, the answer is no, Richard. That was from Rich L. There's no news on data caps. They were going to do that 1 terabyte data cap. It didn't happen. So they keep on kicking the can down the road. Why are they kicking the can down the road? Why are they not pushing the data cap on everyone? Number one, all of you got pissed off and we started complaining. And when you complain, the grease comes out and it starts oiling the cogs, starts oiling the wheels, starts oiling the gears, right? Keep complaining. Okay, it's important. So keep complaining, number one. Number two, they have version 1.5s that have lasers, laser to laser, laser to satellite laser communication. 2.0 minis are coming. They know 2.0s are now right around the corner that they're finally being able to launch Starship. They're not going to need this data cap. I promise you, if they actually implement it, I will be shocked. I will be shocked. I think they're going to keep on kicking the can down the road, and we're not going to see it. Fingers crossed, all right? Chaplain, keep the prayers going, okay? I know you're praying. Pray for that, too. That would be fantastic. Let's see. We have, that was, retracted. A bunch of those retracted. Let's see. H-Tag says Jerry from Philippines as well just got Starlink system a few days ago. Yes, sweet. Anyone that just got Starlink, congratulations. All right, it is. If you've never had high-speed internet access, it is a revolution. All right, it is revolutionary. Finally, you will have high-speed internet access. It's great. Is it perfect? No. Okay, you're dealing with the satellite, but it's pretty damn good. Jeff says, live, love it. Starlink works, excellent. Welcome, Jeff. Scott from South Carolina, please press the thumbs up button. Thank you, I appreciate that. Throw those thumbs ups. Those were very, very helpful. Bill says, wish you would show some of us of your most memorable photos. Maybe I'll do a little photo thing. I have I wish I could reach them. I have massive photos, okay, big prints that I'll have maybe in the next video or something. I'll put a big print right behind me, maybe where Harlequin is. I'll just put a big print. It probably won't even fit. But anyways, maybe I'll put a big print over there. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe show some of my work and maybe some of my gallery stuff when we used to go. It was awesome. I absolutely love going and doing gallery shows where I can sit and have a drink with the people that come in, that buy my work, explain to them. They always want to know, what is the vision behind it? Why did I make it? What does it say to me? And the answer is always, what does it say to you? It's not about me. You want to purchase it and hang it on your wall. How does it, what does it evoke from you? And that's one of the things that I love about black and white. Black and white is amazing because, once again, it's very easy for me to make feelings, let's say evoke feelings, because I just know it, all right? And once again, like I said, black and white is the skeletal structure, the soul, the essence of all photos. That includes color. Color is kind of the skin that goes on top. If you have a bad skeleton, bad skeletal structure, bad soul, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter how beautiful the color is. Anyways, let's see. See, I start ranting. H-Tag says, give it 8 months. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Jeff says, black and white photo is awesome. I love it. Yes. I'm broken. Q. Why is Pentax monochrome so expensive? Can't you do a conversion? Yes, you can. You can convert your old cameras to monochrome. You can send them away and it will be cheaper. Pentax just created it, and that's what they're doing. Okay. I'm glad that they did, because at $2,500 is a lot cheaper than a $6,500 Leica mono, right? A monochrome Leica. So if people want mono only, it's definitely not that expensive, even though it's expensive. Dallas says, Australia, Starlink, 156 down and 10 up. Awesome. Scott, how are you doing, Scott? Says, hey, JC, hello from New Zealand. Welcome from, wow, New Zealand. We're getting people from all over tonight. Awesome. Let's see, HFC broadband, 900 megabits down and 100 megabits up. Scott, I hate you, all right? I love that. That's awesome. 900 megabits down, 100 megabits up. I tell you guys all the time, if you're in the US and you think that we have awesome connection, trust me, the US is so far behind other countries, you just don't understand. You don't believe it. I have relatives in Germany and Sicily. I have relatives in the mountains that literally get fiber speeds that are sitting on gigabit bi-directional. Not even a gigabit like down and 100 up, okay? Literally gig by gig. So we're just not, US has always had problems with it. Same thing with 5G. The 5G that they call 5G here in the US, they laugh at overseas. Trust me. My wife was in Israel. The connection that they got over there using 3G was faster than our 4G here. Crazy. Richard says, where is the rain? Yeah, I don't know. It's supposed to be pouring, but it's not. Let's see. Jeff says, in the middle of nowhere, but off-grid, but not off-grid. However, solar and battery systems being designed, yes. I'm going to be working on solar. I got a couple of projects that I want to get into. First, I want to do some antenna work, and I'm going to be sharing some of that stuff, a lot of other stuff. If there's something you guys want to see, off-grid stuff, antennas, solar, backups, anything that has to do with this type of thing, any kind of tech that will help the RVers, help you guys that are working from home these days, let me know, because I do it. This is what I've been doing for the last 15 years plus, okay? Prior to this, I still work out and about. Sometimes I do DP work, which is the director of photography, episodic TV stuff, working cameras, doing this, that, or whatever, shooting things, editing. There's a lot of other stuff, but the majority I'm here, and it's good. It's just awesome to be able to have high speed. Once again, Bill, thank you so much, Bill Franz, for that super chat. Super chats are always welcome. Thank you, thank you. Unbroken says, I live under JC's desk. He has not realized it yet. That's awesome. Chaplain says, stationary, 22 miles away. Exactly. Stationary satellites are extremely far away. That's why the latency is so high. All right, let's see. Clinton says Usenet is an abuse partnership between. Yes. I don't even want to get. I'm not even going to go down on Usenet and Viasat anymore. They're just crap. They know it. The writing's on the wall. They need to figure it out. Salty says, do a video on RetroPie. Could do that, absolutely. I'm actually using a RetroPie. I'm using a Raspberry Pi with RetroPie running right now, and I think, like I said, it was about 13. 13 or 15,000 old games are on there, which is just amazing. Wayne says studio tour. Yeah, that would be good. That's a good idea. Thanks a lot, Wayne, for that. Let's see. Kendrick says, I believe that Viasat has a $300 plan now. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what they're doing. You can go, once again, like I said, I grabbed this T-Mobile thing, guys. I did this because, I did it because I wanted I wanted redundancy without using my absolute crap Uverse. So I got this thing because I couldn't get it where I was located until the same day that I ordered it. They said, hey, you got, this is available to you. I'm like, send it. And that was it. And I got it. And literally 2 days after I got it is when Starlink went dead. So that system, that T-Mobile, that doesn't mean that everyone can get it, but T-Mobile home internet and Verizon home internet, they're literally like 100 megs down, and I'm getting right now like 100 to 120 megs, sometimes 90 megs down, and about 20 to 26 megs up, faster than Starlink on the up speed. And do you know what the cost is? It's $50 a month. And if I have my service with them, they take 20 bucks off. So now that service, unlimited, is now, instead of $50 a month, it is $30 a month. $30 a month. Then if I pay with autopay, it's $25 a month. How can you beat that? It's basically unlimited internet. So I'm going to get into something and talk to you guys about connecting an antenna and all kinds of exterior things to really boost the thing up, but I'll get into that into another one. Let's see. Laura says, thank you. Appreciate that, Laura. John says, how fast is your T-Mobile? Like I said, right around 90, and the up speed is about 20, 26. It depends on the day, the weather, and this kind of thing. But the unit is inside the building through a poured concrete wall that's like 6 or 8 inches thick. I don't have a wood building. This is literally poured. It's CBS, it's concrete block, but that stud or that beam is poured concrete. So it's actually focused straight through a concrete wall. So it's the worst case that you can possibly get. And we're still getting those great speeds, in my personal opinion. Let's see, as far as cameras go, I use a Ring camera and a Blink camera for my RV. And I view them anywhere, absolutely, without a dedicated IP. You can do that. How fast is your T-Mobile? I'll let you know. Any chance that Elon could send up a Starlink payload on Monday? Absolutely not. When Starship launches, if it is on Monday, it's made in flight, fully built, made in flight, and it's going to traverse the entire circumference of the planet, and then it's going to plop its ass back down, and then they're going to go do a whole ton of diagnostics, okay? Nothing is happening besides that. It's just going to take a little jaunt around the world and then drop back in. So we're not going to see anything, no improvement for a bit. So just hang in there with that. But once they launch it, that means that they're going to be launching this thing all the damn time. You see what space... I'm like right next to the Space Coast. We're about 2 hours away from Cape Canaveral. Cape Canaveral is where the shuttle launches off, where all of those Falcon 9s launch off, where you see all of those Starlinks being launched right there. It's like 2.5 hours away from me, okay? And that location is where a lot that is going on with the Falcon 9s, but all of the Starlink stuff that's going to be going up, the version 2s, are going to be happening in Boca Chica, which is, I think it's Texas, right? I think it is in Texas. So yeah, it's over the Gulf. So that's where it's going to be coming in and going out, over the Gulf of Mexico. Anyways, let's get back into this. John says how fast T-Mobile is. I went over that. Broker and Richard says Starlink is bad. A bad day beats all of them. Absolutely. The worst day Starlink has beats Viasat and HughesNet, hands down. Richard says our utilities is doing it. Yes, the utilities are. Unbroken. I know nothing about this. I'm watching someone speak in a foreign language. See that? Thanks, Unbroken. Maybe you'll get some of my nonsense. Maybe it helps. I don't know. Hopefully it does. Scott says 5G is great for TV, gives an extremely clear picture, and very stable with no buffering. It's good. That is very good. That means you have a strong 5G connection there. That is fantastic. Where I am, I can only get 4G until I think I get that external antenna out there. But that is still yet to be seen. Phil says, for me, fiber, they wanted $30,000 in Australia. Like I said, they wanted $52,800 for me to get Comcast at my location. I told them to go pound sand, right? Go pound sand, people. Jonathan says, I have solar powered on Logic computer. Let's see, out in the desert, running Starlink, monitoring some sensors. Could use pure VPN connection with the Windows remote desktop. Absolutely, you can do that. Pure VPN will work from that. A lot of them will work with it. We're going to be working with another company coming soon, but Pure VPN is definitely one of them that will work. Solar powered computer, sure, why not? Solar power, everything. I would like to take my entire Starlink setup and go completely solar with it to see if I can do it, just as a challenge for myself. I think it'd be cool, right? Come on, guys, it'd be cool. Let's see. OnLogic doesn't have an operating system on it. No. Jeff says, could you do a static address route through OpenDNS? You can. You can do static IPs and pay for them through other means. There's different ways to do it. You can do it with the VPN. You can do it through your router if you have a router that will allow you to. There's a lot of things you can do. I haven't done any videos on that. Maybe I'll do some videos on that. Maybe people will need it. Phil says, I missed out on the portability option. And went on to add, and it wasn't available anymore. Yes, you're right, Phil. Camping and touring, no more portability. If you want portability, if you're grandfathered in, if you have portability, you're grandfathered in. Like I said before, don't lose it. If not, you lost it. You don't want to lose it. All right, no more portability. It says portability is still available here in Canada. I didn't know that. Thank you. That's from MeGoU20. They say portability is still available in Canada. Congratulations. Canada also had a sale where all of the equipment, Elon said, hey, it's half price. That's nice. That's really nice. Richard says fiber is the bomb. It is, Richard. Fiber is still always the best thing. That's what everyone wants to use. Okay, if you can get fiber, by all means, get fiber. But I always say keep some type of redundant backup just in case shit hits the fan. You want to have some type of backup, all right? That's why we have a chicken coop. Let's see. Metzel. I got T-Mobile prior to them canceling it. Okay, yeah. So I got 2 mobile just prior to them canceling it. That's good. That's good. At least you got it. John said we'll look into that, Jeff. John, how fast is Verizon T-Mobile service growing? It's growing pretty well. A lot of people are getting it because it is low cost and it's unlimited. What they do is they make it so you can't take these units, right, these gateways with you anywhere. If it sees that the geographic location is not where you purchased it or where it's supposed to be, they're going to shut you down, okay? Because, once again, it is unlimited, number one, and number two, they still want you to get a cell phone, right? So if you're using that instead of a cell phone, because you could, technically, like I said, everything's data, they wouldn't want that. So yeah, you can't move it around. Let's see, what else do we have here? There's a lot of people on tonight. That's fantastic. Thank you for being here. Once again, if you have any questions, put a Q before your question. That would be awesome. Super chats are always welcome. I appreciate all you guys hanging out with me. TGIF, thank God it's Friday. Hopefully you guys are holding out, hanging out, having a cup of tea like I am. Let me see, what do we have? A little misty morning? But it is night, but it still is good. Still is good. Let's see. Jonathan runs off solar panel and batteries, all mounts enclosures, and oil and gas skid. Wow, nice. All running on Windows 10. Very, very cool. Phil says, I'm missing the portability option. Yes. Let's see. Let's move into, Stroller 6801 says $120 from Canada. Popping in Chicago. Jose says Mexico, about $50. Sweet. You see that? Cheaper in Mexico. Richard says Florida, still paying $110. Daryl is roaming. He's roaming at $135. That's sweet. That's not bad. Roaming went up to $150. So if you're paying $135, that means probably you're grandfathered into that. They haven't raised your price yet. Eventually, roaming will be $150. And global roaming means that you can take your Starlink anywhere on the planet, but you pay $200 a month. But that's still freaking cool, right? You stick your Starlink in like your bag, and then you put it, with you on a plane, and you go to wherever, and you throw it up, and now you got internet on the top of a mountain. It's just crazy. For $200 for unlimited? I mean, back in the day, you got satellite phones you'd pay thousands of dollars for. Right? Now you don't even need it. It's crazy. Ontario, $140 a month. We got Chaplin saying $110. In North Carolina, we have, or is it North Cali? I don't know. We have Wade, Southwest Virginia, $110. A lot of $110. That's really good. I like to see that. Who else do we have here? We have Andres Diaz, now available. What? 15 pounds a month? Rental. Sweet. So that means that you're in like the UK or someplace over there, because I think it's only the UK that's doing this where you can rent SpaceX Starlink now. That's cool, right? You just rent it, $15 a month. That's awesome. Carrie says, if you turn off your router's Wi-Fi and just use a lab cable connection, is it faster? Or if I leave the router Wi-Fi on and use the LAN connection, is it still the same speed? So if you want to be as fast as possible, you always use a landline. So you go through, let's say, a gigabit switch or some type of hub, whatever. If you don't mind being a little bit slower, you can use Wi-Fi, but definitely use Wi-Fi that is 5.0. Do not use the 2.4. Now, hear me out, guys. It doesn't matter if you're using Starlink or if you're just using a router. Starlink allows you to do this, and most of the routers do. Split your Wi-Fi into 2.4 gigahertz and 5.0 gigahertz. Why is that? The reason I do it, okay, is because 5.0 gigahertz doesn't go as far, but it's faster. It's more closely akin to what you would get in speeds with Ethernet, right? Whereas 2.4 is slower, and you're going to notice the speed difference. So what you can do is give the 2.4 network a different name and give the 5.0 a different name. And now the 5.0 you use for yourself or your kids or whoever you want to have high speed. And then when you have company over or whoever, you can give them that slower network so it's not chewing up your data and not chewing into what you need to do. So I love doing that, splitting up 2.4 gigahertz and 5.0. Once again, use network, use a cable whenever possible. You're going to get your fastest speeds, period. End of story. Let's see. What do we have? Southwest Virginia, $110. North Carolina, $110. We have Australia, $130, $200 in Greenland. Wow, from Greenland. Welcome. John says Utah, $110. Salty Vet says I'm at $135, regional roaming. That's good. Congratulations. You're not paying $150 yet. I love it. That's good. Hopefully it stays that way. Scott says I paid $55 for HFC broadband in New Zealand. Yes, it is cheap. That is really cheap. Darrell says, Spec says 50. I guess it'd be 50 pesos, 50 something, Mexico. Awesome. We have Rick's Fun Vids, $160 in New Brunswick, Canada, $160. Let's see. Salty says, yes, let's show some photos and a studio tour. We're going to have to do something like that. I love that idea. Richard L says $110 out of Central California. Sweet. My Go U20 says, if I can still add portability, should I add it? Absolutely. If you can get portability for $25 a month, get it now, immediately. Then don't change your service. Get it now. It's important. Do it. Let's see. Dominic M, thank you so much for this super chat. Like I said, super chats are welcome. They are really appreciated. Thank you very much. Says, love your positive and fairness when offering criticism. I try. I always like to have this channel, once again, unbiased. Doesn't matter what I'm reviewing. I will just tell you as I see it. Once again, I'm not a fanboy of anything. I'm a fan of different things, but never a fanboy. Doesn't matter if it's cameras, if it's internet stuff, it doesn't matter. I like to give you an unbiased an unbiased opinion on it so that you can be the judge, because I'm just showing you what my use case is, and hopefully you enjoy just the commentary, and hopefully you do your own due diligence and not just listen to me or anyone else, some other talking head here on YouTube. So a lot of these, I just get very upset. Sometimes I watch these channels and I feel like shills, and it's like, they're like saying that something is so fantastic when I know it's complete shit, and they're like saying that it's the next best thing since sliced bread, and I'm like, what are these people talking about? I know that it's crap. It doesn't even do what they say, and it's just annoying, but you know how it works. So you kind of have to figure out who you're watching and what the motive behind everything they say is these days. That's just the way it is. Ian says, good night. Good night to you. Don says, number one Maine fan. Thank you so much from Maine. How are you doing, John? Or Donald? John Hall says, I wonder how much data the average user needs. 1 terabyte is a ton of data. So I checked last month. I'm glad you asked here, John Hall, how much data. The family used 920 gigabytes for the month. So I was 80 gigabytes away from that 1 terabyte. Now, obviously, my use case is a little bit different than, let's say, yours. I am also working. There's a lot of video stuff that I'm doing, production work, moving data, large files and whatnot. You might not be doing it. But if you have 4K, you have like 1 or 2, maybe 3 4K TVs, and you start watching all these 4K movies, that'll rip through it really quick. Also, if you have a kid that loves playing Xbox or PS5 or something like that, or they're using Steam on their computer and they're downloading games. Some of these games, I did a video on this, some of these games are anywhere from 90 to 100, 150 gigabytes a game. Gigabytes, guys, what does that mean? That means if your kid or you, like I'm a gamer, I love downloading games. If I download 10 games, I'm already over my terabyte just from 10 games during a course of 1 month. Watch some more 4K videos, do this and that, all of a sudden, it goes quick. My personal opinion, I think that 2 terabytes, 2.5 terabytes is a good number for just about any household, even if they have a couple of kids, 2 or 3 kids that are gaming. They're going, let's say they're doing school from home, homeschooling, watching the 4K videos, Netflix, and all that stuff. My personal opinion. Let's see. I've seen no buffering so far from Australia. So far, I haven't seen any buffering coming through, and I'm looking at the stream redundancy here. We're going out of Atlanta. Number 9, it's showing 1 hour, 40 minutes, and, it's showing 90 or 59 minutes or an hour, let's say. No buffering at all. That's good. That is really good news. You guys keep telling me down below in the chat. Let me know if there's any buffering. This is a test tonight, a really important test. John says, Joe, thank you for replying. I sent you about my son's Starlink, which worked, but after storm, it quit. I saw where you said email them and did, which they said there's new router cable. Perfect. So I put in, okay, so I left it in there. If you guys need to get a hold of Starlink and you don't have access, right, because your system is down, I put a direct email to SpaceX Starlink complaint department. Look down below in the description of this video and yeah, I think this video and last week's video. You will see that email address. Email them. Tell them what's going on. Give them your account number. Give them your location. Give them your phone number. Give them everything. Just like what John said they did here. Boom. They sent them a new router. They sent them a new cable. That's one thing I have to say with Starlink. Even though their customer service is appalling, okay, because there is none. There's no phone number. There's no quote unquote email address. There's no hot type of chat. There's none of this stuff, right? When you do get a hold of someone, they take care of it, which is really, really good. Kudos for that. That is really big. Let's see. Ramsel says $110 out of California. Thank you so much. Let's see. Benedict says P2700 so that's Philippines. In Philippines, that's approximately $49 US. He's paying out of Philippines. Wow. Chaplain says, I took pictures and I took oak trees with snow. I love the picture. I took the iPhone. Yes. So yeah, black and white is just awesome. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Guys, check this out. Want to see something? You see this? Is this thing crazy? You know what this is? Let me do a top down on here. Let me see. Can I do a top down? Let me see. All right. This is an intermission. Look at this thing, guys. Have you ever seen anything like this? You see this? Now watch what happens when I click on this. Now this was my grandfather's, okay? Look at this. Look at that, guys. Is that friggin' awesome? This is Zeiss. This is a Zeiss icon. When do you ever see this? This is medium format, guys. Medium format. This is what this stuff used to look like. You had a little prop here. You put it down. And you took your picture. You have a timer here, and that is it. Is that awesome? Anyways, I had to show you. I had it sitting on my desk. I was talking about it earlier. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of fun. I actually shot a couple of pictures with this of my son when he was little, and they actually came out, okay? And the thing is like, I don't even know, 50, 100, I don't know, 80 years old, I don't know. It's old. Let's see. Wayne says studio tour. Yeah, we're gonna have to do that. That'll be fun. Something to do. Let me go back up to here. Here we go. Wade says, needs a good failover dual WAN. Yes, hang in there, Wade Johnson, about the failover and all of this stuff. I have something for you. You're going to just die, okay? It's awesome. I'm using it right now, okay? And I'm combining Starlink and T-Mobile together, and it's been rock solid, okay? Once again, if it goes south, let me know in the comments, in the chat. Let's see. Ian says, quote, love the tech. All you mentioned. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Richard says, dish is gone. Dish gone. Viasat gone. Total Starlink. Yes. A lot of people are leaving Viasat as well as HughesNet. Why? Because they can't compete. There's no way to compete with Elon Musk and his SpaceX Starlink. It's not even possible. Let's see. We have Justin. How are you doing, Justin Walker? Says your live is crisp on Starlink. Thank you. Appreciate that. ProCopy says, are you going to do any updates on Cutting the Cord series, Joe? I am. I'm going to be working on that, and there's some new software that I want to test out to add into that Cutting the Cord. If you don't know what Cutting the Cord is, what ProCopy is talking about, I did a series that was called Life After Adobe Cutting the Cord. Life After Adobe Cutting the Cord. What is that? That's basically me cutting the cord after 20 years, let's say 20 years of using Adobe products, cutting the cord cold turkey, getting rid of them, and I ended up going with alternatives. And I took you on this journey and I showed people alternatives for Premiere, alternatives for Photoshop, alternatives for Lightroom, alternatives to Illustrator, alternatives. And I've been using them as a professional for the last 2.5 years, I think. So yeah, I'm going to do an update on that. I wanted to do it at the beginning of this year. I couldn't do it because I've been doing so many other things. I've had a lot of projects going on, so I couldn't. But I will be working on that. That is top of mind. Wade said, can't get cellular in my area. I wish I could. Maybe you can if you can use an external antenna and point it to your closest cell tower. Think about that. That's a possibility. With one of these things, guys, right? With one of these. Right? Remember when I was talking about Wade? You can use one of these, point it at your local cell tower and get 4G, fast 4G, or even 5G with other bigger ones, with a 2x2 or a 4x4. I'm going to get into that in the future. Jason says, on the road, listening to your show, keep up the great work. Starlink for $140 plus tax. It's getting warm in here, guys. Not bad. That's in British Columbia. So you're looking Canada, 140 bucks. John says, I went to photo school. I didn't know that, John. That is cool. John Wolf, he went to photo school. I went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale for commercial art, advertising design, photo video. A lot of video stuff I did there. And I actually went to 3 different colleges. Also went for sociology, psychology, child psych major, as well as computers. And I ended up running a computer company for 13 years. So that's my background. So Scott says 5G I get is 600 megs down and 30 megs up, unlimited for 69 bucks. Scott, that is, where are you located? All right, where are you located? That is an awesome speed and awesome price for what you're getting. Let's see, Kyle says, prediction, fast forward 5 years and Starlink gigabit speeds. Yes, no, and why? Yes, I do believe we will see Starlink with gigabit speeds in 5 years. I do. I really do. His goal was, Elon's goal was a gigabit system from LEO, or low Earth atmosphere, low Earth orbit, gigabit speeds. I think that he can do it. I really do. Let's see. Donald says, internet, phone, TV, all on Starlink. There you go. Absolutely. Because we are living in a day of data, and that is it. That's all you need today is data. You have voice, VoIP, which is voice over IP. You have your IPTV, so you have your TV over IP or over the internet. Everything is data. That is it. That's all you need. John Hall says he put information to Scott, so we'll leave that. No tea today. We do have tea. We have some misty morning. I'm going to have a sip. I hope you have your tea. Hanging out. I love having a little bit of tea. At night, I usually have something that doesn't have a lot of caffeine, and I keep it lighter. So what I do is when I steep the tea, I steep it for a shorter period of time, not extracting so much of the goodness, let's say, out of it at night. Slim Cargo says, I just added T-Mobile 5G to supplement Starlink. 2 mesh networks running in the house. My wife thinks I'm crazy. I had 7 megabits up for 5 years. That made me a little crazy. Yes, so that's exactly what happened to me. I had such slow speeds for so long. I mean, 7 megabits up is great. I mean, I have right now through Uverse, we're sitting here at 1.5 megabits up, which is complete garbage. Okay, so I feel you. And once you are able to get high speed, I mean, you're not going to get rid of it, and you want redundancy. You don't want to go down ever. You just want it. Okay. Once again, it's the haves and the have-nots. It's that digital divide. Once you get to the other side of that train track, you don't want to go over anymore, right? So yeah, the wife probably thinks you're crazy. My wife does too, but when she never goes down and she's watching Netflix and there's not a spinning, no complaints, right, Fab? Scott says, Pennsylvania, $110. Thank you so much, Scott, for that. David Craig says, how reliable is Starlink's equipment near the ocean? Is it better to bring the equipment in when not in use? No, it's fine. It's made out of space craft material, let's say. It's made out of the same stuff that you would use in the ocean. Okay, and that's why they're using SpaceX Starlink on cruises. I was on a cruise. Matter of fact, you can look back a few months ago. I was on a very large cruise, and there was, I think it was like 8 Starlinks on the top of it and feeding the entire ship. So yes, don't worry about it. It will be 100% fine. Trust me. If not, they wouldn't be using it in the ocean as they are today. And they're the same units, just so you know. They are just simply the business class, like 22-inch by 20-inch units. That's what they're using, you know? So not really big, nothing different. And they're not inside of a dome. You know, sometimes you'll see like a dome where they put, no, they're literally out in the open, in the middle of the ocean. Let's see, 7 spliffs. It says, anyone else having a problem with Starlink, keep going offline. Right now, we're not having any problems, but if anyone else has a problem, put it in the chat. Let him know. John says it's in South Texas. Yes, you're right. Boca Chica said South Texas. Charles Cole says, I thought I heard Starship was available to launch 400 satellites instead of 60-ish in a large step. It might be right. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to research that, Charles. I'm not sure how many Starlink version 2.0s, the big guys, they can put in one of those starships. I'm not sure, in that cone section. But whatever it is, I'm sure it's going to be a lot. And I'm excited about that, and I'm sure they are too. Let's see. Salty says, Joe, T-Mobile doesn't lock you to one location. You can move it around. I do it all the time. Their term says that if you move, just plug it in and it will work. No crap. That's interesting. I wonder how they do that, Salty. Salty Vet says that they don't lock you. That's very interesting. Anyways, Roy Robbins says, I have T-Mobile and use it in my RV. Yeah, and he has no problems. Absolutely. I mean, T-Mobile, as long as you're near a tower, is good. I mean, it's giving me great connection, and my tower is probably about 3 miles away, I think, 2.5 miles away or so. Here's a question from ProCopy. He says, are you doing any updates on cutting the cord? Oh, that came through earlier. All right. Yes, we are doing those. We talked about that already. Let's see what else we have here, guys. Kansas, $110. Sweet. Ian says, I used my T-Mobile cell phone as a hotspot for years. 50 gig, 50G when busy, not busy, unlimited, good speeds. Yeah, absolutely. I use Comcast now. Comcast is great. It's, it's copper. It's not fiber, but still, Comcast's fantastic as long as they're not down. When they go down, it's not so great. Scott from South Carolina says, have Starlink residential, but just got Spectrum 500 meg fiber. Oh man, I'm jealous. That's awesome. Congratulations. 500 megs fiber is fantastic. Still keep a redundant network. Just like I said about Arnie earlier. Arnie had Starlink for a while. he ended up getting fiber. He went with fiber. They literally went down. He was down for a day or two. He's like, what's up? They're like, I don't know. We're working on it. He contacted Starlink literally the same day. The woman said, no problem. Wrote him an email, said, you are back online. Done. Just like that. So now he has Starlink and his fiber service. So it's always good to have redundancy no matter what, especially if you need it. You know, it needs to be up all the time. Scott says, my internet provider called One, formerly Vodafone, is going to provide 100% coverage to all New Zealand from 2024 by partnering up with Starlink for use as an emergency or normal for 24/7. Yeah, there's a lot that's going on with this emergency service stuff. Apple is getting together, going in bed with one of these cell phone or cell providers. Obviously not SpaceX Starlink. Why? Because Apple hates Elon. Elon doesn't really like them either. You know how this stuff goes, right? So Elon is now in bed, as I call it, with T-Mobile. So they're together. So what will happen is you're going to be using T-Mobile or Elon's Starlink with the same damn phone in not too distant future. At first, they're going to be just using it for backhauling data. I don't even want to get into all that. But right now, Starlink and T-Mobile are like this, which is cool. Let's see, Northwest, inland, $110. Nice. Chaplain says, Viasat, 5 to 6 hours to download a movie. Yeah, so there's an example. You use Viasat, it takes you 5 to 6 hours to download a movie. You got to start downloading it like, I don't know, middle of the afternoon so you can watch it at night. Horrible, absolutely horrible. That's why they're going to go out of business. Steve says 122 RT, that's out of Canada. Don says Maine, $90. There you go. We found someone. We have a winner. We have Maine. We have Donald out of Maine paying $90 for Starlink. Congratulations. That's awesome. Richard says they're trying to get free stuff. It seems that way. Corey says you have to be a fanboy or something. What is it? So no, I am a fan of Starlink. I'm a fan of Elon, but I'm not a fanboy. Meaning, like I always say, a fanboy will just, no matter what, if the person is, let's say, if Elon does something wrong, or if the service goes out, the fanboy will make up excuses of why it went out, right? You see that on political parties. You see that people that love a specific player on a specific team, a specific company, whatever. Whenever they do something, they've done nothing wrong. They're a Canon shooter, so Canon is the best. They're a Nikon shooter. Nothing's better than Nikon. You know how it goes. That's a fanboy. A fan means that they just like it. But for me, I will tell you if there's a problem with whatever it is. I don't care what I use, all right? That's why we say I'm not a fanboy. I am a fan of different things. But I'm 100% unbiased, or at least try to be as much as possible. Let's see. Arnie, he's here. He says, I am late as usual, but I did see that Starlink opened up several areas in the East. Yes, they did. U.S. and Southern and the tip of Florida. Yes. Arnie, tell everyone about your story about having fiber going down, and then how quick did Starlink give you your service back after you canceled it? Throw that down below. I think it's an interesting story. John says, you are right. I go easily through 800 gigabytes or 800 gigabytes a month, and that's with 4 kids gaming. Yes, the 800 gigabytes goes quick. I told you I have 920 gigabytes I go through per month. So yeah, John, I think that 1.5 terabytes, 2 terabytes, is a good number. I mean, it's a pretty safe number if they ever do it. But hopefully, like I said, Elon kicks the can down the street and does not give us a data limit, right? A cap. We don't want to see a cap. He was talking about that 1 terabyte. Hopefully not. Phil says, I think that I will leave my Starlink residential as is and purchase another dish for roaming. Probably a smart decision. All right, unless you can get that portability package, just get another dish. I know it's not cheap, but it's just easier that way. You'll keep everything segregated and you don't end up with problems. You don't want problems, right? So Corey says, my speed slowed down after the outage was over 200 megabits, now usually under 100 megabits, and that's in Alberta, Canada. So the outage, when that outage happened last Friday, right around 8 o'clock, they updated the modems, okay, in the dish. They updated the firmware in the router itself. They updated the certs that are sitting on the ground station. They updated everything. So some people are experiencing slower speeds, other people are experiencing faster speeds. your miles may vary. So I don't think it's just you. I think a lot of people, things basically changed after that cert went through. My speculation is they had to push through a firmware that was probably not 100% finished, let's call it, maybe beta, something that they've been working on, and they had to put in what they needed to put in and then push it out without doing full tests. Because what we did also find that there was people that once they did update and it rebooted, all of a sudden their heater turned on, even though they're in Florida. And now their dish has the heater turned on and it's pumping more watts and more amps to the unit. And if they didn't know enough when I put out that video to go and shut it off, they probably would have burnt out their cable or burnt out their modem. So, glitches like that happen. Like I said, I think it was a rush push. They had to push that out because they got, let's say, knocked back by seeing that their cert no longer worked. And now all of a sudden there's a worldwide outage. It's like there was scrambling. There was, horns and whistles going off. People are on the phone. Everyone was put to work, let's say, to get that thing fixed. They weren't. I'm sure Elon was not happy about that, making that little comment saying, "Hey, things are down, but we're working on it." Not good. Let's see. John says, "I wish Starlink will let you pay monthly for your equipment." They do in the UK. Overseas, you can pay monthly. You can actually rent equipment. So they're testing it there. I don't know if it's going to continue or not, or be migrated to the US, but hopefully it does. Arnie says, John says, no, we already went through there. Hold on. John, here we go. John, $110. He's in Virginia. Jose says, I missed a call from them. I can give the 1-800 number. Holy hell. Jose Perez, if you would like to accidentally put a phone number that you accidentally stuck in this chat, by all means. I'm sure there's a lot of people here that would love to get that number for SpaceX Starlink. So that's all I'm going to say about that, Jose. I will leave it to your discretion. Let's see. Phil says Australia residential $139, roaming $179. Yep. Ian says, question. I'm amazed telecom companies don't start using H365 over the 265 to save data. Yes. Whenever it has to do with protocols, protocols are slow to be updated. That's about all that I can say. 4K, even today, still the majority of stuff is being done in 1080p, even though 4K has been forever out and now we're seeing 8K. 1080p is still the thing, right? And protocols are the same way. H.264, H.265, now 3.5. It's, yes, better protocols, but it's going to take a while. I don't expect to see it for a bit. Richard said, that camera is cool. He's referring to this camera with the bellows. This is a Zeiss Icon. And this was my grandfather's, actually. So cool, right? Absolutely cool to me. Have you guys seen one of those? Do you know what that is? That is a brownie. Look at that. Just crank that thing and take your picture, and there you go. That is a brownie. That's old. I love cameras. I have way too many. Let's see. Arnie says, Starlink support reactivated my service in 10 minutes. Very fast, and it took longer to set up the dish again. So there you go. I mean, Arnie moved away. He canceled it, and I used to give him a little bit of crap when he used to come on here and kind of make fun of him because now he was a fiber guy, and he was no longer on Starlink, and he was on fiber for a while, and then, of course, fiber died. He contacted Starlink. They're like, yeah, no problem. 10 minutes later, they turned him back up, and now he has both Starlink and fiber. Fantastic, Arnie. That's cool. Slim Cargo. Cool. Let's see. Phil says, now I could change my residential to roaming, but I need to have reliable, fast internet at home, so I'm not taking any chances. Purchasing another dish, yes, purchase another dish. It's just smart. It's a better way to go. Like I said, redundancy is like second to godliness. You need to have, there's like a backup of your data. If you don't have 3 backups, you pretty much don't have any backups at all, right? Procopy says, great to hear, Joe. Thank you for that. Chaplain says, don't ever get HughesNet. Yeah, Hughes is pretty much junk. Viasat is junk. It is what it is. Richard says, loves the old Bellows camera. I owned a baby reflex. Yes, I own one of those old Graflex from the reflex camera way back from when. And he has a two file plate. He says, so fun, own something that of the history. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at, stuff that's like 50, 80, 100 years, like literally old stuff. I just love it. I think it's just cool where we've come from this type of equipment to today. Like I said, this is what I started out with. This is a Minolta SRT 104, full metal. I mean, you can literally, if you're in war, you can kill somebody with this, pick it up and take their photo. Not that you'd do that, would you? So yeah, I mean, this is what they look like. I mean, heavy, fully manual. I absolutely love it. I still do a lot of fine art, black and white photography with that camera, which is kind of crazy, but it just works. Let's see. John says, I had HughesNet and Viasat, the worst, absolute worst, yes. But it was the only option, better than nothing. Thank goodness for Starlink. Now Starlink is available. Hughes is an improvement. Yeah, Hughes is just, I mean, it is what it is. Starlink is Starlink. I mean, it is definitely the best thing out there as of right now for any type of satellite internet connection. Wayne says, video editing. Joe, the software you use for editing. I'm currently using DaVinci Resolve. I used to use Final Cut. I moved from Final Cut to Premiere. And now I'm using DaVinci Resolve. Reason being is a lot of like episodic TV, a lot of film crew and whatnot, they end up using DaVinci Resolve for the color grading aspect of it anyways. Once the NLE or their non-linear editor in DaVinci Resolve became as good as it is and it doesn't crash anymore, a lot of editors moved from Premiere or Final Cut to DaVinci Resolve solely. And I did the exact same thing. I love it. And as far as like photo editing and that type of thing, I'm using Affinity by Serif. They're awesome. Scott says, Joe, I'm located in New Zealand. He's paying $69 for a 5G plan. God, it's amazing. John says, can you have two mesh systems and not cause interference with each? The question I would have for you, John, is why? Why have two mesh systems? Just have one. Right? If you need redundancy, put the redundancy on the one, have the full mesh going around, and now the one is going to have redundancy, so no matter if you go down on any of the internet connections, the entire mesh will have a connection. If you need another one, let me know why. I would like to know why. Scott says $110, and that's from South Carolina. I got the rate increase letter, but they didn't raise the monthly rate. That's awesome. A lot of people are seeing the same thing. They said that they get the monthly increase for it says $120, but they're still at 110. That's great. Let's see. Ian says, here's a question. It says, was listening on the radio today. They were talking about EV not having AM radio in it and some things that we need to get rid of as broadcasting systems, but it can reach farther than FM radio. Yeah, so a lot of the EVs are saying, you know what, you don't need radio anymore. You could use Starlink or you can use some other type of satellite network. You could use Sirius or whatever. I personally like AM radio. I like FM radio. In case of an emergency, you can still have some type of connection. I believe in redundancy. I believe in preparedness, and being prepared means that you have either like a ham radio or you have some type of AM radio that doesn't need batteries, that can be a crank or something. I'm in South Florida. We get hit with hurricanes, right? You need to be prepared. So yeah, getting rid of AM, I think it's just stupid. There's no really reason to do that. Charles says, do you need to be overly concerned about exceeding the 1 terabyte limit? Charles Chris, as of right now, no. The reason being is they did not implement that terabyte limit yet. They keep kicking the can down the road. No limit as of right now, which is great. Let's see. Robert says, I have two mesh systems, one Google Mesh and the other one is a Starlink Mesh. They sit side by side and they're located. Okay, I see what you're saying here. You want to be able to use both of those together, both Google Mesh and Starlink. You know, for me, I wouldn't do that, but I mean, yes, you could do that. They should not interfere because they are constantly changing the connection. Let's just say there's codes that connect them together. And if there's a problem with another connection, they'll just switch codes. It's all digital today. It's not like, you're running at 2.4 megahertz and now you got something else at 2.4 and now they conflict. It's not like that anymore. Same thing with garage doors. Everything's digital these days, right? So you shouldn't have a problem. You don't want to put them side by side like this close, but you shouldn't have a problem. Oscar says, Starlink is fast here in Alaska. Welcome from Alaska. How are you doing, Oscar? But we experience a few major outages throughout the day, once in the morning and starting at 4 p.m. So in Alaska, you don't have a lot of satellites that are roaming around up there. So what ends up happening is you're waiting for another satellite to come by. Now, if you guys don't know it, let me show you something real quick. And this is something that I've told you guys about in the past. And some of you guys asked me, where do you find it? Let me go and share my screen with you. Here we go. It says starting simulation. Let me see if I can stick myself down here so you can still see me. Does it work? Maybe. Am I there? Am I not? It looks like I am. Okay, so do you see this right here? This right here is called Starlink.sx. Once again, Starlink.sx. Matter of fact, I'm going to type it right now. There you go, in the chat. So this right here is going to show you where satellites are. Now, look at me. I'm in this green location here, within about 30 miles, all right? It's pretty close. Every one of these yellow dots are ground stations, and the purple dots are your POPs, or your point of presence. Now, you see, this is Miami. I'm located here. The POP that I'm using has a 1 on it, and there it is. It's in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, you're going to ask me why. I don't have an answer for you, and it pisses me off, but I'm using Atlanta, Georgia for my POP, so my latency is greater. But what I'm showing you here is, do you see these? These are the satellites coming by. These yellow satellites is a 1.5. Do you see it? This green satellite is a 1.5. It's currently not connected to anything. Once it comes by and it's connected, right? Like, see this blue one going by here? This blue one is a 1.0. This is an old satellite. The same with this blue one right here. That is a 1.0. That is an old satellite. The green ones are the 1.5s. Those are the ones that have lasers. So what I'm saying here is, if we back up and if you look up into, let's say, Canada, do you see this grid? All right. You see Alaska up here. Okay. You see Canada. You see this whole area. There is very few satellites. Okay. So look at right here. If we come in here, for example, right, what do we have here? This is 1. And look at how much of a region this thing is covering. And then there's only a few satellites that are coming by, number 1, and you see they're green. So you're looking at, they are these slower satellites, which are the 1.0s. You see it? Oh, no, this one is not. This is a 1.5, so that's good. But here you go, Fairbanks. Here we got NOE. So this is a lot, but you notice there's not a lot of satellites coming through here. This is why you're getting outages. You're having to use these satellites over here down south of you, and chances are anyone that's in Alaska is probably, their dish is pointing due south. Why? Because that's where all of the traffic is, where all of these satellites are. And you guys only have a few. Look at this. You have 1 ground station here, 1 ground station here out of Anchorage, and then you have another ground station over here. There's only 3. So anyways, this is why you're seeing the outages that you're seeing. The reason you're seeing the outages is because there's simply no satellites above you, or very few. So it kind of is what it is. Flying Pretzel, thank you very much. You didn't have to do that. Thank you for the super chat. That's awesome. So anyways, that's the gist about it. If you're in Alaska, if you're in Canada, you're not going to get as good service right now as you will in about 4 or 5 months from now. I promise you. Let's see. What else do we have here? Let me get into John. Let's see. All right. Steve. Anyone else? If you have a question, put a Q before the question, stick it into the chat window. I'm going to go for a little bit longer. I really want to get back to the house and be able to see if Fab needs me. Once again, she's sick. If not, she would have been with me tonight. So let's see. What else do we have here? We have that Alaska question. We have Chaplain. Let's see. Can I shout out to my wife, Chaplain? Let's see. Stephen Brett says yes. Tomorrow, 20th anniversary. Congratulations. Congratulations. Shout out to your wife for that. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. My wife and I, which you see normally here on a Friday, we're going to be celebrating our 30th anniversary soon, which is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. So, Scott, $110 from South Carolina. The rates increased, but didn't go up. That's fantastic. Let's see. We have Steve. Let's see. Here we go. Steve, Ontario, Canada, last 2 weeks, in and out of offline. A lot of people are having those problems, especially in Canada. Remember, you don't have a lot of satellites above you, and they're doing work on them. Any kind of problem, you're going to feel when you're in that outer portion, the upper portion of Canada or Alaska or anything north, you're going to feel outages and you're going to feel problems a lot more than people that are underneath 5-6 satellites going, above them overhead. So let's see. John says, I recently got 1 gigabit fiber, but keeping Starlink anyways as a backup. Was told I can cancel Starlink and would be put back into offline if wanted to, or be back online if I want to restart the service. John, that is 100% right. Arnie, if you want to ask him a question about that, that's exactly what he did. He got fiber. He wanted Starlink as a backup. Fiber went down. He contacted Starlink. Starlink said no problem, turned him back on within 10 minutes. So you can turn it off or leave it on. If you have the extra $110, I would use it as redundancy. If you don't have the extra $110, pause it, okay? Turn it off. They'll turn it back on for you. Bear in mind, though, I did a video on this. If you leave it off for 6 months, we don't know what the actual number is, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever. Eventually, it might brick itself, meaning it won't be able to update itself anymore. That has happened to some people that have left it off for multiple months, and then they ended up having to get a new one, okay? Starlink replaced it for them, but it was a whole big to-do because it bricked. Let's see. Steven says, Ontario, Canada. Yep, we just answered that. Mike, Colorado, $110, residential remote apps. So that's good. That's really, really good. Oscar, from Alaska, it seems that I'm experiencing total of an hour and a half, 24-hour period. That's, once again, like I showed you, from Alaska, you're going to have that problem. Montana, residential, $110. Good. Scott, going through 1 terabyte per month, just watching YouTube and normal TV. Some people are. You start using 4K all the time, you're going to push through that data quickly. Ian, here's a question. Just a speed test in the DSL. Which is what I'm on, and I got 20 megs down, 6 megs up, and not bad for living in the middle of nowhere. That really isn't bad. I mean, 6 megs up is really not bad. My DSL or my UVerse is 15 megs up, and it's 1.5 megs, 15 megs down and 1.5 megs up, and that's with 2 lines. That is a bonded pair to be able to produce that speed. Sad. Literally like 20-year-old technology. I don't even want to get into it. Let's see. Ricky Joe says, Granada says, I have AT&T fixed wireless internet and get download speeds of 25 to 75 megabits. Depends on how congested T-Mobile cell tower is, and an upload speed of 15 to 30 meg. That's great. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Robert says $110 from Washington. Fantastic. 57, let's see, Jordan 756 says 57 megs down, 9 megs, 9.1 megs up out of Daytona. That's awesome. Daytona Beach. You'll be able to see those rockets all the time launching, those Falcon 9s out of the Space Center over there. Kennedy. Richard, remember Ritz Camera? I do remember Ritz Camera, out of business like a lot of other camera companies, camera shops. It's a sad day. Cameras are just, I hate it. Let's see, memorable places. Question, very rapid, 1 second or less buffering at 21:23 Eastern time. Thank you for that. Once again, anyone that experienced any buffering let me know and definitely timestamp it. I will write that down so I can go back in the logs and see if it was me, if it was the system, if it was you. I'm going to check into it because it's important. Once again, if you see any buffering, let me know. Put a timestamp down below. Ricky says, I have Starlink for a month and I'm so happy with the service. Only I won't complain about any dropouts. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, when you're on Viasat, I feel you. You know, you're on a slow service. You get Starlink. You're like, oh my God, I can't complain about nothing. And yeah, I get it. HughesNet and Viasat are the worst. They're worse than junk and can't even watch YouTube videos. YouTube quality's at 360p using Viasat and HughesNet. It's slower than dial-up speeds. I know, guys. I know. It's just, I don't know how. They're not going to be in business. They won't. Let's see. Wife, 10 gigs, 60 month. That's $6 a month is good. Not bad. Let's see what else we have here. All right, let's get down into here. My grandma had one, and now it's lots of the old cameras, probably about 40. John says, yeah, I love the old cameras. They're awesome. Scott says, imagine the amount of data women use yanking all day, and it can exceed 1 petabyte. Yeah, I don't know about all that, but I mean, if you're yakking all day, I think VoIP is pretty cheap. I don't think so. I think the biggest thing would be watching videos and downloading video games at like 150 gigabytes per game. You know, download 10 of those and your entire terabyte is gone in a day or two. John said he had a brownie camera. Gypsy Jeeper says, I use Starlink on Hawaii and have always wondered if they lose all submarine cables here serving POPs locally. Is the SAT to SAT going to be sufficient? Thoughts? It is. So SAT to SAT is what's going on with version 1.5 Starlink satellites, as well as the 2.0 minis and the 2.0s. They have, I think it's called ISL, which is inter-satellite laser or inter-satellite link, whatever it is. And what that means is satellite to satellite can communicate data between each other. It doesn't have to go from satellite to ground station and then from ground station back up to the other satellite. It's a waste of time. So now they're communicating from satellite to satellite at the speed of light in a vacuum, all right? What this does is it allows communication between satellites fast, and it allows it to propagate for a longer distance. So what that is instead of having the need of having tons of these POPs of these ground stations, you don't need as many ground stations, because if you have a ground station all the way over here and you have a satellite here, instead of it having to try to get to that ground station, it just bounces the data from satellite to satellite to satellite to satellite, and then boom, down to the ground station. Super quick. It's going to be revolutionary. And I think that's where you're going to start seeing speeds that are like gigabit speeds. Because the speed that we're currently getting, people don't get this, but the actual communication speed between your dish and a SpaceX Starlink satellite at 550 kilometers in space, in LEO or low Earth orbit, that speed is about, I think it's around 2 to 4 milliseconds. 2 to 4 milliseconds. What that means is if you see, like right now, let's go ahead and pull this up real quick and you'll be able to see mine. Let's see, let's pull this up. Here we go. All right, so you see this right here? You see the milliseconds? We're currently getting, what is this? 47 milliseconds, 41, 44, 38 milliseconds, 51, 41. Okay, what this means, guys, is that 2 to 4 milliseconds is actually the time it takes for the data to come from me or up to the satellite and down, right? It's quick. All the rest of that latency is between the satellites to the ground station, from the ground station to the POP, from the POP out to the, let's say, the website, from the website back to the POP, from the POP back to the ground station, from the ground station back to the satellite, and then from the satellite back to your Mr. Bevel or dish. That's where all of your latency is coming from. It's terrestrial. It's not non-terrestrial, okay? So once they do away with some of that movement, and like I've speculated in the past, we'll start seeing NOCs or network operation centers or POPs or point of presence in the air, where you get one of these big ass 2.0s that literally work as a network operations center, now the data doesn't even have to come back down. Think about that. You're talking fast, all right? Fast. So I think it's going to be revolutionary, and I think it's going to take a year. It's going to take a little bit, 8 months to a year, and we're going to start seeing something that you're going to be amazed with. I personally believe it because I'm a network guy. I can see where they're going with it, and I can see what they can do with it before they're going to do it. And this is my speculation. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know. But if you're still with me in 6 months, you let me know if I was right or wrong. Let's see. Larry says, think startup fee getting hardware will ever get lower. Yes, Larry. The hardware, right now it's $499 here in the US. Overseas, they're getting it for, I think in Canada, actually, they're getting it for half price. So, and in the UK, the hardware, they're getting it for free, or they're getting it for $15 a month or £15 a month. So, yes, it's going to get cheaper. Slim Cargo says 30th. Wow, nice. Yeah, I can't even believe it. 30 years coming up. Chaplain says, we miss your wife. We're praying for her to get better. Hope you all have an awesome weekend. Thank you so much for being here, Chaplain. Thank you so much for the prayers. Thank you for the well wishes for Fabiola. I'm sure she'll be here next Friday. She'll get quick better. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Ian says, question: the best thing is how my area has fiber optic, except it's not on my street and it's not that hard to run, and I'm waiting on the wait list and hooked up. So let me tell you, Ian, so if I went to go look at an AT&T site, if I'm getting fiber, I put in my address, it says, yeah, you're getting fiber. It's coming soon. The site has said coming soon for over 12 years. Strike me dead if I'm lying here, okay? 110%. Absolutely. It has said this for over a decade. Coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. I've talked to the engineers. Coming soon. My D-Slam, if you guys know what a D-Slam is, my D-Slam, my box, has had fiber in that box for over 15 to 20 years and still only rolling copper out of it. That's AT&T. And that's all of the subsidy they're getting to try to get fiber to the home. BS. I call big BS, and they should be taken out too, right? All these companies should get hurt by Elon and his Starlink, right? In their pocket, in their wallet. That would be fantastic, in my personal opinion. Because I think that they've been cheating us for so many years. They deserve it. I don't know. That's my opinion, That's maybe me being a little bitter, but it is what it is. Ryan says, D-Dub, I'm in Montana and pay $90. Congratulations. That's awesome. Let's see. Channel, you can make amazing Eon says, question: I also wanted to say before I go to bed, I like your channel and I think you make amazing content and everyone should smash the like button. I appreciate that, Ian. Have a good evening. I'm going to be getting off really soon too. If there's any other questions you guys have, put them down there. I'm getting towards the end, and then like I said, I want to go and hang out with the wife tonight. Not going to run it as long. We're on about an hour and 45 minutes. That's pretty good. With the wife, we were here over like 2 hours the last time. Let's see. Question from Rick. He says, I have Quest Wi-Fi network. I want to get set a per client throttle speed. How much speed should I give each device to allow them to watch TV and stream video? So, but only in 480p. So that is a rough one because to limit the amount of data to try to back it to 480p or 360 or 720p, the only way to do that is to test. Test. Find out what, get everyone off the system and then put a specific mount, use your QoS, right, your quality of service in your router or your switch, and then dial that device to a certain data amount and then start watching a video. And then dial it back until it no longer can handle 720 and it falls back to 480. That's the best way to do it. Is there a specific number? I don't have one. You could probably do the math to kind of calculate it and figure it out, but the easiest way is just to dial it in live, okay? That's the way I would do it as a system administrator. That's how I'd do it if I came over to your house. That's just it. It just makes it a lot easier. Let's see. Robert Murphy, thank you so much. I really appreciate that super chat. He says, thanks for everything you do. Much appreciated. Thank you for that super chat. Really do appreciate that. I love it. I love it. I appreciate everyone's support. There's so many people that have been with me doing this for the last couple of years. There's literally over 900 videos I have online. Just on Starlink, there's about 140 now in a Starlink playlist that you can take a look at. You know, I do it for you guys. I mean, I absolutely love it. So I put it out there and I try teaching as I learn. So we're kind of learning together. You know, it's not like some guru that just sits here and tells you stuff. I'm just telling you what I've learned. And some of you guys know more than I do. And that's why I just love the community that we've developed here. Thank you once again so much, Robert, for that. Really do appreciate that. Have a great evening. Bob Tracy says, ping, 24 milliseconds, 19.3 down, 7.1 up, and that's in Driftwood, Texas. Wayne, thanks, Joseph. Starlink Answers. Thank you, Wayne, for being here. Morgan, out of Mexico, hardware is currently about $350 US. That's cheap. There you go. In Mexico, Morgan has the hardware for $350. And I think that's similar in Canada. It's much cheaper. Let's say Barney or Jarnay. I'm pronouncing your name wrong. It says right now in the middle of Greenland, 100 to 150 to 200 to 250, and tops around 315 megabits down. The numbers jump up and down. Yes, Starlink and all satellite service, anything that's non-terrestrial that is going through clouds and it's going through weather, that's going through a movement. Remember, Starlink satellites are moving at 17,000 miles per hour, meaning that as they're coming overhead and they're moving out, they're doing a handoff to the next satellite. And during those handoff periods, there is a split second or a millisecond where there is a droppage, where they're making that handoff. Just think of the Starlink satellites as like a track runner that's handing the baton to the next guy. And he's handing the baton to the next guy, and hopefully no one trips and drops the damn baton. So that's basically an analogy on how those satellites work. Once again, whipping around at 17,000 miles per hour. So what is happening here is absolutely amazing, in my personal opinion. So, Kawasaki Ozzy, welcome, says viewer 99. Thank you for being here. Haven't seen you. I'm glad you made it before I got off here. Scott says the cost of Starlink hardware in New Zealand is $723 and $159 per month for data. That's not cheap in New Zealand. Maybe a lot of it is tax. I don't know. Maybe some kind of VAT or something. That's a lot. Scott says, let me see. I have AT&T home internet box and live in a non-AT&T service area on a mountain in Pennsylvania. I use it as a backup to Starlink. Have external antenna getting 30 down and 1.5 up, and did not even notice an outage. That's awesome. And that's exactly the beauty of having redundancy. And that's why next week I'm going to be talking to you guys all about redundancy and what I'm using, that I used on this entire time with Starlink. I'm using T-Mobile, redundant together, meshing the two together. Now, using a bonding type of service. And once again, I'm going to tell you about that next week. Stay tuned for this video. I'm excited about it, as I want to tell you guys about it, because I think it's something that everyone should have. If you have two connections, even if one of your connections is a cell phone, you can use it. It's really super cool. Really super cool. Anyways, iStream Pool says with satellites, with satellites acting as a backbone, when fewer ground stations are required, they can have ground stations, can be very close or to major peering locations at a carrier hotel. Yes, so that's basically what will end up happening. You're going to end up with less ground stations once the ground stations are in the air, let's say. Not really, but when, let's say, the POPs are in the air, you're not going to need as many ground stations. It's not going to be required, because a lot of that data transmission is going to go from satellite to satellite to satellite to satellite to POP, and not to ground station. So we'll go to POP, and then from POP back up to a satellite, and then satellite to satellite to satellite to satellite, and then back down to your dish. You see how we're getting rid of a lot of terrestrial traffic? And that is where your latency is coming from. And that's why I'm predicting this is going to get good, and it's going to get good quick once we start seeing those version 2 minis and the version 2s up there in Leo. So hang in there and wait for it. Let's see. Ian says, good night. I'm going to bed. And I hope your wife will be gets better. Have a good weekend. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you being here. Easy TV said he's testing until I actually see the pixels. Yes, keep test. Tommy 876 says I'm using Starlink in Jamaica and I'm getting 100 latency. Should I get lower milliseconds? Not necessarily. It really depends how far away you are from your ground station. Not the satellite, your ground station. Corey says, thank you for the Starlink videos. No one else does these. Have a great evening. Really do appreciate that. I'm glad that you enjoy those videos. Let's see. Luckton Greg says, damn, just got here. Well, Greg, I'm glad you're here, but we're going to be kind of splitting momentarily, just kind of getting through these. Morgan says, I forgot to mention the monthly service in Mexico is $60 US, no data cap. Arnie says, have to go. Thanks. Appreciate you being here, Arnie. Thank you so much. Canada, half price, $350. That's good. Kamikaze Ozzy, looking forward to it. Sounds good. So let's see. Ricky Joe says, one more question here. I use Cisco. One of the the APs or an access point for my Wi-Fi. What exactly is the difference between throttling per SSID and per client device? I can get into that. That goes into a whole bunch of kind of stuff. Basically, your SSID is technically a device, kinda, but the device, your SSID is the actual device that's providing data to your clients. So your SSID could be your, let's say, your 2.4 gigahertz SSID, whatever you name it, or your SSID for your 5.0 gigahertz or whatever. And then you have all your clients that are going into each individual one. But it gets into a little bit deeper than that. Thank you very much, Arnie, for being here once again. Really do appreciate it. Fran says, you and your wife make Fridays enjoyable. Keep it up. Love the content. Thank you so much, Fran, for that. I do appreciate that. Gypsy Jeeper says, remind us how to find your POP that you connect to. If you need to find your POP, simply go to speedtest.net and look to see what server it connects to do the speed test. That server is in the location that is closest to your POP. So when I do a speed test, it will say I'm connecting to Georgia. I am located in West Palm Beach, Florida. So my POP is in Georgia. That's the easiest way. There's other ways, but that's the easiest way. Scott says, just went to Spectrum Mobile. It runs on Verizon Network. Yes, you can do Spectrum. It's fine. Same network. God bless you too. Really appreciate it, Chaplain. Thank you. Thank you for all of the well wishes too for Fabiola. Appreciate that. Larry says, have a great evening. Thank you. So guys, I appreciate everyone being here. Thank you so much for those super chats tonight. I'm going to get out of here. It is just about 2 hours. Once again, thank you for all of the great conversation. Thank you for adding into this chat to give all of your information freely to the community. Because as I always say, this is all about community. It's not about me. I'm kind of like a conduit. And a lot of you guys that find out new information about Starlink, about cameras, about new tech stuff, you send it in to me, and then I kind of put it out there for everyone else to consume. That's what I do. So anyways, anything new comes out, let me know. Thank you so much, Richard, for the well wishes. Kudos for the wife. Thank you. Appreciate that. iStream Pool. Thank you also. So anyways, if you enjoyed this content, always give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Take a look at my website over at JCristina.com. Grab one of my ebooks at JCristina.com/books. They are free. Grab one. There's no reason not to. They are free. I'm going to be writing a couple of new books. My old book here that I wrote here, How to Create a Digital digital Fort Knox, backing up your digital life, that you can find on Amazon through ebook as well as hard copy, or you can buy that also on my website if you want to build an unraid server to back up your digital life. All of these things. Also, I have merch, my cups and my shirts and all the rest of the stuff over on jcristina.com/shop. So anyways, guys, thank you so much. TGIF, thank God it is Friday. I am done. Have a wonderful one. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. If there's anything that you want me to cover in the future, let me know. Not necessarily in the chat, put it in the comments below this video or on any of my videos. Let me know what you're interested in, because that's what I want to give you in this coverage, in this channel. Okay? Anyways, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one. Love you all. Take care.